Hi, I'm Bill Patton with 720 Degree Coaching, and it's another incredible conversation with Mike Baugh. And what we're going to cover here is we're going to do some USTA shout outs. And Brian Shepard's watching, so he's going to have a shout out, and we're going to do it, verbally. And if you have a question or if you want to come on this Zoom call, you can send me a message and we'll get you on the Zoom call and you can do your shout out, and that's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So Mike, we're going to do shout outs, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about how to teach tennis better. And then do you want to talk NFL after we get done with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the schedule got released today, so, I mean, how can we not?
We'll talk a little bit about the NFL at the end. All right. So from the top, how are you doing out there in Florida?
Good. I mean, every day is a new adventure and just try and take it one day at a time. I mean, how's everything going with you?
I'm doing fine, and I'm getting a lot of projects done. I'm actually applying to possibly become a school teacher once again. So I might go back and teach school for a more steady and reliable income.
There you go. Congratulations.
Yep. So it's looking pretty good. Oh, my friend Kenny is on here watching. He lives right near me. So, all right. So no, I'm happy because I've been able to get a lot of projects done. I'm about 3/4 of the way through a book that I'm writing. I'm also working on a course for visual training for tennis.
Good.
I'm really happy that you helped me out with that. So thank you very much. And so let's get into the USTA shout out part of the show. Who's somebody who's really helped you a lot in your area?
So a few things. Today's his birthday. Bill Harrington is his birthday today. He's our local TSR. Janine, he's new to the USTA. He's actually a wheelchair athlete, phenomenal story, great go-getter. His dog Peeboo is just takes us everywhere. So great connection to have, amazing energy. He's called a couple times and just kind of checking in and let me know what's going on. And the same thing too. I happen to be the St. Pete, Pinellas County District President for the USPTA. So I've included him and helped him get to know some of the pros in the area as well. And then our local league coordinator, I've talked with her a few times, and Janine Dennis is her name. And then some of the people in the competitive office for USTA Florida, Jason Gilbert, Christine Lucas, and Thad Hawks. And those are the mostly the people. And then also Brad West on the digital side. Those are the people that I've talked to about a lot of things, mostly reaching out and seeing how everything is. And also Laura Bowen, who is the executive director for USTA Florida. Those
awesome.
I know I've got a long list, but those are the people that I've talked to.
It's a little too long, but I understand. Want to be as
I try to make it quick. I knew it was going to be long, but I try to make it quick.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, because we have to save time for NFL talk. And then were you doing like a little fake lips are moving but no words coming out? Is that what you were doing?
No, that was not it. I believe it's Zoom. Zoom is making this like a 1980s kung fu film.
Okay, awesome. I love those. I'll tell you my kung fu movie story at the end. So just remind me. So out of my way, I mean, I'm going to do a blast from the past, because there was a guy named Peter Herb out here who was the executive director for a long time. And he was amazing. I remember being on a committee with him, and he posed an idea, and I posed an idea. And then after we were discussing this for a little bit, he started to like my idea better. But I started to like his idea better. And so there was this really lengthy debate about something that was going to affect how we were schedule the tournaments and all that, and what the rules were going to be. And so I successfully lobbied to help his idea win the vote. And it was really close. And I was proud of that. I didn't like my idea as much. His idea was better. So I really like that about him, is that he didn't have that mentality of it's my baby and I'm going to push it through. He just wanted the best thing to happen, right?
Yeah.
Another good one. Wait, you just had a long list. I get to.
I was about to say that's the best people.
No,
that,
you.
Okay.
That's really good is Chris Samuel, and then there's another guy, Keith Adams, and they are TSRs in, out and around the Bay Area. So Keith Adams has the most challenging position because he's down there in Silicon Valley, and he's pretty tight with Ken DeHart down there, but super energetic, super go-getter. All right, so we have a shout out. Scott Zent says, shout out in honor of Ohio Valley USTA coordinator, the late, this is sad, Joyce Engel. Please and thanks. So he is obviously likes Ron because he said please and thank you. So he probably likes Ron from Parks and Rec. But thank you, Scott. So let's have a moment of silence for Joyce, because it's sad when these people pass on. All right. So, here's a shout out for somebody who has been really involved with USTA stuff. Michelle Krause, right? So she's been there, part of all that. And not so much anymore, but what an incredible amount of energy to, help get a program going, right?
Michelle's fantastic. I just talked to Michelle the other day. Michelle's great. She's actually just down the road from me here. She's in Sarasota, and she's actually a Florida board member for the USPTA. And, she's great. She's down to earth. You get to know her, and I told her the other day, it's like I'm on Team Michelle. Whatever she's behind, I'm 100%. She doesn't even have to. She says go, and I won't even ask what it is. I'm behind her. So if she's behind it, I know it's going to be good.
All right, that's high praise right there. All right, so I don't see any other USTA shout outs at the moment, but once we get those, I'll be sure to share them. But earlier today, and you know how this goes, so this is nothing unusual. I posted something, and it was a 51-second video, right? And then I said, tell me what you see here, right? And this is when coaches are interacting on social media, what do they often do? They don't even look at they don't read the whole post before forming their opinion, or maybe they don't watch the whole video maybe once or twice to see what's really happening there. But they get an opinion, and then they go boom, and they put their opinion out there, right? What's it going to take for coaches to start to realize the value of actually stopping to think?
Well, they're going to have to put their opinions, like their notions and their preconceived opinions, aside first.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first thing they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to open up and observe. That's the first thing they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to observe what's happening in front of them first, and be open to what's happening, and then analyze it. And so many times it's they want to get to the answer before anyone else and speak first. And they want to be the first one to say something, and they want to be right first.
Yeah.
Because they're the first one to say something, then they're the smartest one in the room. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, oh, I was there, I said it first, so obviously I'm right. So where did you post this?
It was on Facebook. It was on my main page. So and it was really interesting too, because people made their observations about something that they didn't understand, or they made criticisms of one aspect. So here's the interesting thing. I was tossing the ball into the player at a 45-degree angle. So I'm pretty close to the net post, and the player is at the tee, and I'm tossing the ball in 45 degrees, and not one person said that's okay. So if I'm tossing at 45 degrees, what's the first thing you think, Mike?
Oh, first of all, I don't see the video, so I'm sorry. It was on Facebook?
Yeah, it was on Facebook. Yeah, I've done a lot. I was voracious at posting today, so you might have to scroll down a bit.
I went all the way back to the 5th. I didn't see it, so I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe it got deleted.
Could be.
Could have been fake news. Might have been fake news. Could have been something that doesn't support the narrative, so it's gone. So okay. So if you saw a coach tossing the ball in at 45 degrees, because it's not something that happens all the time, right? I mean, either you see like a little drop feed, or you see a little pooper from 90 degrees in front of the person, or you see a feed off the racket or whatever, right? So what's first thought crosses your mind?
Well, I would try to first understand what the overall aspect of the drill was, what you're trying to accomplish with the drill.
There you go. And I appreciate that about you, Mike. So see, that right there, I think this is a really important teaching point for how to learn how to coach better. So I think that's really, really a smart answer, and it is the right answer, by the way. There is a right answer on that one, and it's that you should first. So anytime I see somebody doing something that you feeling good. So
a little bit better now, yeah, because we didn't rehearse this either. I had no idea where you're going with this.
Right. And so Charlotte Alabaster says, "What was your intention?" Right. So anyway,
hello, Charlotte. She's so smart.
She's amazing. Charlotte's amazing, but don't tell her I said that. Anyway, so one thing I've tried to learn how to do more and more is when somebody's doing something I don't do, my first question is, why are they doing that? I don't do that. Why are they doing that? But unfortunately, other people, they go, their first thought is, I don't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Don't do that. That must be wrong. So, yeah. Now so you ready for the why I toss the ball at 45 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, we're building up the curiosity. So
we're going up the hill. Choo-choo tracks going up. Choo-choo trains going up the hill.
Gonna make it. Building up the curiosity, right? We're just making people incredibly hungry and curious to want to know what it is. So let me give you a little background first. So there's a guy, Jack Brody, and Jack has a very interesting teaching system, and I have to say he's one of the top 5 people that have influenced my teaching. So anyway, his one piece of what he teaches in his system is that you make contact approximately 45 degrees away from you. And if you go and you look at high-level players, the ball with the contact point is approximately 45 degrees out in front. Okay, so that's why I do that. So for a period of 5 to 10 minutes in the very early stages of training a new player, I toss the ball into them at 45 degrees because then they're forced to make contact with it at 45 instead of late. So anyway, and then the other interesting thing was that people were responding to a 51-second clip as though that's what I do 24/7.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Don't you hate that?
In their minds, everything is finite. They don't see it as one tool for one occasion. And then, hey, what's the application of that? And I'm like, well, when I get somebody on the court, I just want to check to make sure if they can meet the ball at 45 degrees. If they can, once they can, we don't do that again. You know, unless we have to regress, unless we have to go back to that because they lost track of their 45-degree contact point.
It's a moment in time. It's a moment in time. It's what, 51 seconds. So in an hour lesson, it was 1/60th of the lesson.
Right. So here's another thing that was interesting, all right? Because that wasn't the only thing that was taught. It starts with me tossing the ball to him, and he hits one shot that's okay, and then but he hit it sky high. It was way up in the air, right? Which is fine, but I was like, okay, aim lower, right? So he aims lower, and he has this horrible mishit, right? So you could hear, it was one of those mishits that goes clunk, right? So then I asked him, I'm like, what happened there? Right? What just happened? Why did your ball go there? Right? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, was it something with your swing? I don't know. Right? And then he came back with an answer that wasn't right. And I was like, all right. I'm like, where in the racket did the ball go? Right? And then he thought about it and he pointed to the spot where he had mishit. And then I went, okay, well, we want it to go a little bit more in the center. But not one person, well, actually a few people did address that. Out of 20 people who commented, 5 people noticed that I had asked him questions to help him understand what was happening. Right? Because a lot of times what we do as coaches is we try to tell them what to do instead of helping them understand what the problem is. Yeah. So then I said, see the ball come out of my hands, right? And the very next shot, he nails it. And not one person saw that the cue of see the ball come out of my hands was a visual cue that was going to help him track the ball into the middle of his strings. So it was really interesting to see all that. And I still have questions out there to people that they still haven't answered because they're like, I don't like the feeding. I didn't like the feeding angle. I'm like, what's wrong with it? I mean, are you curious about why I'm doing that? Right? What else do you see in the video? Right? And then like 75 to 80%. Kelly Baker nailed it. Yeah, Kelly's like, I think I got that one. I'm like, yep, you did, Kelly. You killed it. So, another funny thing though was nobody picked up on that, but about 75 to 80% of the comments were about technical issues with his swing. So here I'm trying to get the ball in the middle of their strings, and everybody's obsessing about whether he has, ideal form yet, and it's like his 4th lesson he's ever had. So anyway, that's my little rant. Do you have any similar situations where you were talking with people and they sort of didn't get it?
What day is it?
Yeah, today's. So has it happened yet today, or was that yesterday?
Every day. Every day. So, I got to the point where I've kind of taken a step back from posting on coaching forums.
Yeah.
It just, There for a while, I was posting a lot, commenting a lot. I stopped. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to have somebody I'm not going to brag, but I've done a lot of coaching education. I'm more certified than what I need to be. I've done a lot of research, and I love learning about the sport. And I love having great, challenging conversations with people that love to have great, challenging conversations and to get better. And if people want to get better, they want to learn. And if all you want to do is just do the same thing over and over again for the last 30 years, and that's all you want to do, I'm sorry, but maybe the growth that you have in your coaching is going to be limited. Maybe there's what you can convey to your players is there's more ways to connect with them. Maybe what I can learn from you or what I can learn from other pros is a lot better, and I can teach my players what you're teaching your players, and we can all share, and we can like your backhand stuff, like not backhand stuff. You get what I'm saying? The course that you have on your backhand is what type of backhand do you have for your players? Do you need more right-hand dominant if you're a right-handed player? Do you need more left-hand dominant? I won't get into the thing because people need to go through your course and learn that information. But just going through that and talking with you about those things and having these conversations, it's great information that I can pass on to my players, and seeing the progressions and getting players to go through that, it's good, and it makes players better. And it's things.
I want to ask Kelly Baker something. So Kelly, do you have a shout out for a USTA person in your area? So in Charlotte, Tennis Canada, right? Do you have any Tennis Canada people that you want to shout out to? So anyway, yeah, I appreciate the compliment. And here's the funny thing though. I keep telling people, hey, if there's a backhand style that you think I'm missing, help me out here. I will credit you, and I'll give you props for helping me out that way. Just like I wrote that book, Top 5 Strategies and Tactics for Winning Tennis. I mean, I'm like, these are the 5 I know, but if somebody has a 6th one, I'm all ears. I would love to hear it. So, I get it, but it's interesting how people want to criticize what is instead of actually helping make it better. I mean, can you convince me why I should adopt just one style to teach? And they can't. So it's kind of interesting.
There are 3 types of learners. There's visual, there's auditory, and there's kinesthetic. And if your teaching doesn't include a little bit of all 3, then you may be missing the boat on reaching some people.
Yeah. Okay, you want to dig into should we dig into brain stuff and learning for a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So here's an interesting thing. There was a guy, Dr. Howard Gardner, and he's Harvard University education department. So pretty smart guy. And he came up with something called multiple intelligences. And most people know this. Most people who've been to college understand this. They've heard about it, but it sort of got replaced by learning styles. So anyway, so Gardner said everybody has 7 to 10 intelligences. But even he couldn't really tell any particular person how many of the 10 they have. And they're not really finite. There aren't borders. It's not a compartmentalized thing. One kind of goes into the other, because you have intrapersonal learning, interpersonal learning. You have environmental learning. You have rhythmical, musical. you have spatial, you have visual, kinesthetic, and verbal, auditory, and I might be leaving one out. So we all kind of have this milieu of different capacities that we have. And there was a really interesting article in the Washington Post about how angry he was that people took that and turned it into sort of finite learning styles. So, so you can't say, it's not fair to say that someone is a visual learner because they are also a kinesthetic learner, and they are also an auditory learner, and they also have 4 to 8 other capacities. So I think part of the problem is we get a little too locked into oversimplifying how to teach people, and we don't do enough to support the different kinds of learning for them by challenging them in different ways.
No, I agree with that. It's also, I think the other thing too is I think sometimes in teaching we try to go over our students' heads just to try to show them what we know instead of just making it simple for them. We need to do the KISS method. Not the KISS method. We can't do the KISS method anymore. It's too many. We can only do the KIS method, not the KISS method.
Yeah. And I don't think you should use the hug method either.
Can't do that. Can't do. I don't know what that is.
No more Besos Brazos. All right.
I don't.
All right. So no, it's a good point, and I think it's interesting because we need to know this stuff, but we don't need to show it off. So I think a really good application is tell when your student is sort of overanalyzing and they've got paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
And so to me, one thing that I see very common for is people who are very professional at they have a really good analytical ability, but then they bring that to the court and it's not going to work there. All the stuff that you use to look at lines and graphs and spreadsheets and and creating lines of systems and all that, it just isn't going to happen. So helping people come to their senses, come to their eyes. So what do you see? What do you feel? And then having our language match up with the things that they're seeing and feeling, then that's a big chunk of the sports learning. But then also, if all of a sudden I start talking like this, now I'm creating a little rhythmical thing, and that might be exactly the thing that gets the kid to listen to me for the first time because I create some rhythm to the situation. So, and sometimes if we can teach without talking at all, then that helps because some people have poor auditory processing. And so their brain's working so hard to interpret the words that their eyes don't even see.
So before Martin Blackman was the general manager of player development, he ran an academy in Boca. And one of the things he did in his academy at Boca is he ran what was called the America Team Games. And during the America Team Games, he would run a coaches symposium, and he would have like Bobby Bernstein, and he would have other coaches come in, and he would run a coaches group. And some of the things they would do is talk about what they would do in some of their practices and run through some of their drills and everything. And I would never forget, this is probably about maybe 5, 6 years ago, maybe. I can't remember, time's flying by right now. And I never forget, one of the things he said is some of the best practices I've ever ran, I didn't speak hardly at all. And he just, stood there observed, and, you know, maybe said a couple words when he needed to. And, you know, if he can hold his players accountable and they do the things they need to do, sometimes you don't have to speak anything at all. And I still to this day, I think that's very, very important.
That's outstanding. That is really outstanding. And to any team coach, because so anybody who spends an awful lot of time with their players, you run the risk of them not listening to you anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I think my most common experience is that anybody who I've coached for more than a year, our communication kind of goes like this. They do the thing that they know they ought not to do, and I go, hey, and they know what that means, right? I'm like, hey, I go, hey, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, did it again. So I, for me to stop and give that lecture all over again, I wouldn't want to hear that lecture. One of my favorite things from coaching high school is when my team is playing so incredibly well, and I'm just on the sidelines with my arms folded because there's nothing to say. They're just everybody on the team's playing out of their mind, and they're all winning and they're all up a set and a break. I don't want to go mess that up. And it's a blast. It's really fun to watch your team perform really well and not say a word. Or, maybe you see somebody is kind of slacking off a little bit. You go over, you go, hey, keep your intensity up. I mean, just that simple. Nothing too tough. So Charlotte says that's a great teaching point, but I don't know what you're referring to, Charlotte Alabaster. So, yep, she's combined many elements combined to learn effectively with a little smiley face. She's good with the emojis.
She is.
So
she knows where they're located.
Why don't we kind of flesh out the whole thing about modalities? So what are some other examples of people or coaches or players who kind of had a different way of receiving the information?
Like coaches receiving the information differently?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's an example that you're thinking of right now?
I think sometimes I have gotten the whiteboard out and drawn diagrams and shown, a shot sequence. And then all of a sudden a kid says, oh, I get it. That now it makes sense, right? So they can see it from a different vantage point, right? Or vice versa. We've had a chalk talk and I've explained some stuff and I'm like, now I'm going to show you on the court. So it's gone from being an abstraction as a diagram to now here's what that looks like in real life. And now you've put two different kind of ways of looking at it together. That's another one. There's a thing called the zone of proximal development. We got a USTA shout out.
Oh, good.
Kelly Baker says, Michael Murata here in MV. Just one problem. I don't know what MV is.
Missouri Valley?
Huh? Missouri Valley. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because he's in Kansas City, I do believe.
Then there we go.
Seems to be wanting to do the right thing. Makes contact regularly. So, and that's good. And, so that's part of it. I mean, I think sometimes we put expectations on other people maybe that we don't put on ourselves. And so somebody's trying, they're making some initiative, maybe nothing's happened yet, but just keep it going because then something can happen. So Tony, Daryl Cummins is watching. He's a legend. You're a legend, Daryl. Tony Kamen says, keep it short and sweet so they stay focused and don't tune you out for being too verbose. Which brings up a really good point, is that the average attention span for delivering a message is 10 seconds or 42 words. See what I did there?
That was very, very short, and
so that's an awesome thing. So yeah, Kelly Baker says Missouri Valley, absolutely. So yeah, too much verbal gets in the way.
I'm trying to keep it shorter now.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Let's see if you can keep it going for a full 10 seconds.
Okay.
I think our studio, our audience though, has a longer attention span than the average kid that we're. So, but yeah,
I don't know.
In little chunks. Like here's an interesting thing. If I'm gonna teach a technique, I try to teach in as close to 1 minute as I can. And absolutely, I never try to go past 5 minutes of lecturing about a certain thing.
Oh, we've talked about. This is something.
Mike is starting to look like a volcano right now. So he's building up pressure, and he's about to come up with something really good, and he's trying to form his words so he can come at us with 10-second bursts. Go.
I can't tell the story. I don't know if I can tell the story or not.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just, because I don't know, because it's a personal story that involves a work situation that screw it. I don't give a shit. I don't care. So ladies clinic, hour-and-a-half ladies clinic. One of the first ones that I was working with, this new pro that got hired as the director over me, and he ends up taking a 15-minute break in the middle of the clinic to start talking about a match that he was playing. We were co-teaching this clinic, and you know this guy because I've called you about him and talked to you about him. And yeah, one of the first clinics that we had, I'm standing behind him, like kind of off to the side, and the ladies in the clinic were like looking at me like, "Can we start to play tennis again?" And that's just one of the many, many, many short stories of the short 4 months I had teaching with him. But one of the first experiences on court I had was he took a 15-minute break to tell a 4-5 playing experience that he had.
That's fascinating. But you know, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. How much do our players really care about our play? I think almost zero. I'm going to guess almost zero. But I mean, if you could quickly say, "Hey, there was one time I won a match because I did this," and you can get it done that quick, then they hear win, right? And they also kind of equate you with winner, but they're not going to listen to that for 15 minutes. It's crazy.
One time I played a match and I was down and I had a lot of nerves. I understand what it's like to be there. Like, boom, 30 seconds. I understand the situation that you're in. It sucks. Yeah. Hey, I've double pulled the entire game away before too. It happens. You know.
Here's a best practice though. Tell stories about other people. Tell stories about people who've been in that same situation. So tell a story to your 2-5 ladies team about a 2-5 lady that came in and was petrified of her match for the first time, and she made it through, and you helped her out, and then your ladies are just like those ladies. You know, one thing I love to do with my high school teams is tell stories about players who've played for me in the past. And it sends two messages. One, they're just like those kids. And two, there's a subconscious thing of, if I learn this well and I do amazing things too, coach is going to tell a story about me in the future. So you kind of give the message that they can become part of the lexicon of high school tennis, the story, the great stories, the legendary players, right? So that's a big deal. All right. So do we have any more that we want to talk about brain science and how people learn and all that?
I mean,
we talk NFL now? You ready for the NFL? 7 people are watching on Facebook Live right now.
I mean, we can talk whatever anyone else talks about. I'm open for whatever.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about best teaching practices, brain science? I just thought about something to talk about. So, but put your question in the comments there, and we'll see if we can get to it. So, one of the things that people don't do enough of, 2 things they don't do. One, they don't ask for prior knowledge. So this will save you so much time and aggravation if at the beginning of a clinic you say, okay, tell me what you know about this particular topic. Today's topic is this. Today's topic is poaching. What do you know about poaching? Right? And then somebody says something good, and you go, yep, excellent. Everybody understand that? Okay. Somebody says something that's wrong, and you go, thank you, but we're gonna clarify that. Okay. Thank you. So nobody's ever wrong. Don't let anybody ever be wrong. That's not gonna be a good look. But you can go, thank you. Thanks for sharing. I have a clarification. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Anybody else? Right? What else do you know? And then, what do you know about return poaching? And then the interesting thing is, once they're out of answer, then you know what you not to teach over again.
Yeah.
You can clarify the thing that was wrong, and then you know that everybody's up to a certain level. Then you teach the next thing after that. And then, because I think it's universal, everybody hates to be told stuff that they already know.
One thing that I do, especially if I'm working with a new student, or a new student that is an established player, is I give them a warning. I said, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions because I need to know what you know, and what you know and what I know need to be on the same page. And if you ever don't understand what I'm saying, stop me and say, Mike, you're an idiot. Like, what the hell are you saying?
Like that happened. Yeah, I can see somebody going, Mike, you're an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
it hasn't happened yet, but I tell them right off the bat, and they laugh, and they relax, and they're like, oh, that's funny. And I'm like, yeah, seriously, if you don't understand what I'm saying, like, this isn't going to work out. Like, we need to be able to communicate properly and clearly. And they're like, oh, cool, I like that. And
all right, so my friend Debbie Croft is watching. Hi, Debbie. And then we had a question from Charlotte Alabaster. Do ladies learn differently from men? Is that she's trying to get us in trouble here. Well, anyway.
How about this? People learn differently from people. Individuals learn differently from individuals.
Yes, everybody learns differently. So anyway, no, I'm kidding. It doesn't bother me. But no, one thing I've noticed is that that when my female clients tolerate much more talk than my male clients. So, like, for instance, when we're in the early part of the lesson, we're warming up, we're talking about what we're going to work on today, and we do, how are the kids, how's everything at home, you know. In fact, some of my clients want to know what's going on with me, and we might go 10 full minutes with no real instruction, but we caught up. You know, and it's like, all right, now that we're warmed up, we're all the way rallying from the baseline, and we've done chit chat time.
So hold on. Let me stop you there. It's important to note that you have been hitting balls this entire time.
Yes.
I have seen pros chit chat for the first 10 minutes and not hit a single ball for the first 10 minutes of their lesson.
Yeah. No, I think, okay, so let's start the new Master Pro test. And this is a big box to check. Can rally while socializing. Rallies well without missing, you know, challenges the other player, makes them feel incredibly happy while talking.
Can run their feet just as well as they run their mouth.
Yeah, yes. Uses their racket as well as they runs their mouth. That's important. So, you know, and so in general, and these are sweeping generalizations, because I've had ladies who come out and they shush me, you know, and go, hey, you know, yeah. I mean, it's like, and it could be that they are slow verbal processors, because, you know, everybody has different capacities, and all that talk gets in the way. In fact, I just got fired again by the same lady who came back to me twice for different sets of lessons, and she said I just talk way too much for her, so she's leaving. And I'm like, all right, goodbye. You know, I mean, yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. And I was like being extremely mindful to not talk, but.
Well, if you know what the chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A tastes like, and you've had it twice before, and you don't like it, don't go back to Chick-fil-A to get the chicken sandwich again.
You know, I don't often blame mental health issues on a client not returning, but this is one of those. So then, okay. So now the interesting thing too is that I think men are so much less likely to even take a lesson. My experience is that for every 12 kids that take a lesson, there are 4 women and 1 man that will come out and take a lesson. And so the fact that man comes out on the court means that there's something special about him, because he probably already has enough humility to be able to learn, you know. But I know that I keep myself in check. Oh, Charlotte's keeping the questions coming. I'll get to that. But anyway, so there's a certain level of humility that a guy's got to have in order to come onto the court, because most of them think that they're, you know, the expert on everything.
Well, here's a question, Bill. Do men ask for directions on how to get places?
Well, you don't need to anymore. That's the
You don't need to anymore. But let's go back 20 years. Let's
go
back 20 years. Okay? If you didn't know how to get somewhere, do you stop at the gas station and ask for directions, or do you buy the map and figure it out yourself?
It all depends, you know.
But what is the generalization and what's the joke?
Huh?
What's the generalization? What's the joke? The joke, and the joke's funny because it's true, is guys don't ask for directions.
Right. So it's an interesting thing. And my best way of getting lessons with guys is to point out that they're losing. I'm like, you know, so I talk a lot of trash with my male members. I'm like, I'll notice when they've lost a match in which they were purely frustrated, and I'll go, "Hey, Steve, wow, that looked like a really tough. What do you think the difference was? It looked to me like you missed your overhead a couple of times. What was the issue? Do you know what broke down there for you?" And he's like, "Yeah, it might have been my overhead." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Do you think I work on that sometime?" Yeah. Can I help you with that? But you kind of have to show that there's pain there, that you see the pain, and that you've got a solution. Hey, I think in a 30-minute lesson we can spruce up your overhead pretty quick, and then I'm pretty sure you'll be able to place it effectively and win those points that you're losing. Does it sound like fun? And then the other interesting thing I noticed too is that once you get one or two guys who start taking lessons with you, more will come.
Yeah. Once that guy starts raising his level and the 3-5 starts beating the 4-0s, then the 4-0s will start coming to you because the 3-5 just started beating them. And then the 3-5 will start coming to you too because they just saw that the 3-5 raised their game and started beating the 4-0s, and then it just is a waterfall effect.
Yeah, I'll coach that guy like he's Rudy. I mean,
absolutely.
It's an underdog story here. He's on the 14th with he's a kid out of nowhere, just a kid out of nowhere. He's 450 yards. It's in the hole. So Cinderella story. Yeah, you gotta get your Cinderella story. Okay, now Charlotte, I think, has been waiting pretty patiently for her answer. What do you do for those with attention deficit disorder?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, what do you do for those with attention deficit disorder? And I go into denial. So I don't care what a kid's attention level is. I really don't. I have Evan, the video that I showed the other day, that kid is a squirrely kid. And I don't know if he's ADHD, but he's a little dynamic. Well, anyway, I think what you do is just take them where they are and help them to pay attention a little bit longer next time, and help them to realize when they're totally tweaked out, and then go, stop. Just stop and look around. What is going on? It's chaos. You went too fast to get the ball. It went off your shoe. You chased after it. You tried 5 times to pick it up, and it didn't happen. Is it working?
Well, so I was about to say the opposite, but say the same thing at the same time. I was about to say embrace it, love it, because here's the thing. I think that ADD and ADHD can be a blessing, because in tennis, you can, especially in doubles, there's all these things going on. It's a chaos that's going on, and there's a player here, a player there, the ball's over here. There's all these things going on at the same time. And if you can really harness the ADD and the ADHD and the ability to focus the multiple things going on at one time, if you can really learn how to juggle all the different things going on at one time, then it can really work out to the player's benefit. If they can learn like where to look and where to focus and really use that to their advantage and learn the coping strategies with that, then they're just going to be on top of it. And learning how to multitask, and then learning the on and off switch with that too. And then it's just, they may be a little hyper. They may be a little out there. They may be a little off. They may not be super chill all the time. But when it comes to playing a point, you don't want to be super chill all the time. You want to be a honey badger and just get out there and destroy and play and get after that ball and go for it. And
Okay, let's talk about honey badger for a second. All right.
Oh, I love
So,
honey badgers.
okay, so there's a badger, and then there's a honey badger. What's the difference between a honey badger versus a normal badger?
Well, a normal badger lives in Wisconsin, and a
Yes.
honey badger doesn't give a
Oh, okay. So it's not an animal, it's a slang term.
sort of. You know, it is an animal.
So you just
Um,
for me now I can live in peace now and now that I know.
it is an animal, but it also the term that I was using is more of a slang term.
Okay.
There is go on YouTube and you look up honey badger narrations by Randall. It is the best like 5 minutes of your life that you'll spend listening to this National Geographic voiceover.
Okay.
It's oh God, it's great.
Awesome. All right, now what was the other topic that we were on before honey badgers?
ADD
ADD. Okay. Now,
or ADOS.
what do you want to call it? So now
Attention deficit. Oh, shiny.
so now my reputation in Florida is that I'm like the mellow trippy dude, right? Right?
Just in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, I'm known as kind of the mellow, trippy dude, right? California guy. Isn't that true?
Yeah, yeah. You did that visual training thing, and you kind of blew some people's minds.
Well, hopefully in a good way. But here's the funny,
No, I think so.
but here's the funny thing. People don't realize that I was on like heavy Ritalin when I was a kid. I was about as hyperactive as you could be. I was completely out of control, you know. And so part of what has helped me to calm down is tennis because of the challenges of having to concentrate for longer periods of time, but then also because it's not boring. I mean, it keeps your attention. um, it keeps your attention when you're playing. All right, so we got Scott Shankel's game. Kelly Baker's got a sucks when parents label their kids or other people's kids, but won't tell you when got a freaking illness. I had to interpret that. Unless there's a health or safety issue, I like to make my own observation, then talk with parents about what I see in parents. Okay, this is awesome. So another reason why I go into denial about hyperactivity is because I don't want to keep account of everybody's little issue. So I just take kids where they're at and work with them where they're at. So like for instance, I had some people and they brought a kid to me and I thought he was high functioning autistic, right? So I'm trying to, he kind of talk like a robot, right? And I'm like, okay, huh. So I never used the phrase with them. I never asked for a diagnosis of the kid, but I just operated under the assumption that he's high functioning autistic. So that's my job, get more in touch with reality, right? And I started teaching him how to talk like a human being. I mean, I go, hey Finn, do you think it's true, right? And he go, probably. I'm like, no. Yes or no. It's a yes or no question. Okay. Don't say probably, right? And so I forced him to answer logical yes or no questions. And it was painful. It hurt. But then after a little while, we talk because I got him to be able to speak in a way that engages people. So anyway, but then, okay, after probably 6 full months of working with the family and the kid, they sort of alluded to me that he has an attention problem of some type, right? And so then I went, oh, high functioning? And they went, yeah. I'm like, all right, yeah, no big deal. I don't know. I think it's an interesting and a very sensitive subject because I think also parents don't want their kid to get labeled.
Yeah. Well, then
Labeling,
you also have, but then there's some parents that want their kids labeled, and you have different cases that you do have, it's a very, yeah, I'm gonna decline to comment anymore. You have some that do and some that don't, and it's a very, yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Here's
it's
the thing is, if the
sub,
kid, if we can figure out, and if the schools can figure out, and the teachers can help, and the coaches can help the child, however they can help the child, I think that is the best interest for the child. And not to label them or whatever, because sometimes even if they do have whatever, or if they don't have whatever, the common practices may or may not help them anyway, and there has to be an alternate way to get through to them.
right.
So, but the best practices may not be the best practices for that individual. And going back to the, do men learn differently than women? Well, individuals learn differently than individuals. So I think we need to go back to that statement there and just say, okay, well, let's do the best for the individual.
Yeah. I have one more on that, and then we can talk about the NFL. But so uh, so I had a parent come to me and just very matter of factly say, Alex is high functioning autistic, because it was pretty obvious he was autistic, because he was not, what if he was high functioning, he was at the very edge of what you would consider high functioning. But she gave me some strategy. She said, he will listen to you and he will do what you say, but sometimes you will have to call his name and get eye contact with him. So if you call his name and get eye contact with him and say, I want you to do this, right? Then he would do it. But otherwise, if you did, he had moments where he was kind of like off on his own, in his own world. So he just needed to be called back into reality for a moment. So anyway, that ends the incredible tennis teaching part of our talk, and the shout outs to USTA people. I think every time I have a show like this, I think we're going to have some shout outs to USTA people, because we want to build. Will Bull is watching. Will, while you're on here, Kristen Lindhart is on. So she's a relative. So that's kind of fun. She's a hunter. Kristen Lindhart's a hunter. Anyway, so Will Bull, tell us a USTA shout out from somebody who does a great job in your area. And Kristen, how you doing? Amazing to see you here. So and now my sister is having a conversation with our other relative. So what an amazing show we're having here, Mike. All right, so who wants to talk about the NFL? So you were asking me about the Raiders.
So yeah, looking at the Raiders, very interesting. Now, are you going to be a Raiders fan this year?
Okay. I knew it was going to go there. So yeah, if you want to talk about the Raiders or do a USTA or NFL in general, or do a USTA shout out, keep that going. So, what's funny is I'm still on the fence. I mean, I'm still paying attention, so I haven't completely kicked the Raiders to the curb. But, it is pretty disappointing to see your team leave for the second time. On the other hand, I don't mind that they're leaving, because it's so expensive to have an NFL team. The city of Oakland has suffered mightily from that horrible deal that brought the Raiders back. So, I mean, they still owe $120 million on that monstrosity Mount Davis that wrecked the Coliseum. So, goodbye, Raiders. So we got Mitch Kuttner and Lisa. Lisa, you want to talk about the NFL? So, Yeah, I'm still paying attention. And then, Mike Mayock and John Gruden, it's kind of hard to say goodbye to those two because they're two really smart football people, you know? And I'm looking at that draft. I'm just loving their draft. It's really, I think they're so smart because they've got it dialed in. It's not like the old Al Davis days where he was addicted to size and speed.
Yeah.
And then, people could have an space between the 6 inches between their ears, but as long as they were big and fast, Jamarcus Russell, prime example. But no, I really like the Raiders draft, and I think they filled needs like crazy. And I think that this Jason Arnett, is it Jason Arnett? Arnett, whatever his first name is, the second-round quarterback. I think Lisa Roberts Bushong, who I haven't seen forever, is excited to hear my voice on Facebook. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, still talk like that too sometimes. Anyway, but they drafted so well, and I think this Arnett guy. So here's the interesting thing about Arnett. He had in single coverage, which Raiders threw a lot. He had the lowest quarterback rating of any other cornerback prospect in the NCAA in single coverage. So, and he likes to tackle and all that. So yeah, I'm still a Raider fan to some degree. I might actually go to Las Vegas and go see a game sometime. I don't know. So, are you still a Colts fan?
I'm always a Colts fan.
That's good. Lucas, we're talking about the NFL now. So anyway, Jacoby Brissett, is he on his way out of town, or
so that's what I don't know. Decisions. I mean, from what I've seen, decisions not made yet. We have Phillip Rivers on a 1-year deal. A lot of good things. We drafted a running back. We did our little